He was the picture of normalcy, a devoted husband, father, and military veteran. But beneath the surface, he hid a terrifying secret. How did this seemingly ordinary man become one of the most notorious serial killers in American history? The truth is more chilling than you could ever imagine. The killer, who flew under the radar for years because of a mundane life, killed more than a dozen women by luring them into his car. On May 27, 1952, Robert Lee Yates Jr. was born in Oak Harbor, Washington. His parents, Anna Mae and Robert Lee Yates, were members of their local Seventh-day Adventist church and planned to raise their son in the same belief system. Yates seems to have had a relatively normal upbringing. He graduated from Oak Harbor High School in 1970 and began attending Skagit Valley Community College in the fall. At college, Yates met his first wife, Shirley Nylander. Again, they seemed to have a mundane relationship, getting married in August 1972 before Yates enrolled at Walla Walla College, majoring in pre-med. By March 1974, the couple had separated for unknown reasons, but there is a possibility that Yates cheated due to the birth of his first child with his soon-to-be second wife. Yates continued going to Walla Walla College while Shirley returned to Fall City to be with her parents. 2 months after their separation, Shirley filed for divorce, and Yates dropped out of college with almost enough credits to become a junior. The divorce was finalized in August, and Shirley took back her maiden name. But before the divorce, Yates had filed for a new marriage license in June. The marriage license was with Linda Brewer, his second wife and future mother to his 5 children. They married in July, despite not being legally divorced yet. Linda gave birth in December 1974 and went on to have 3 more daughters and a son. The little boy was the youngest of them all, born in 1989. Yates was hired by the Washington State Department of Corrections as a corrections officer at the Washington State Penitentiary in Walla Walla in 1975. He lasted 4 months before he worked as a janitor at a hospital and then as a theater usher. In October 1977, Yates enlisted in the United States Army, where he became certified to fly civilian planes and helicopters. During his 21.5 years of service, he was stationed in the US, Germany, Somalia, and Haiti. He left active duty in April 1996, a year and a half short of being eligible for his full retirement and pension benefits, but because of military shirking their numbers, Yates got full benefits. After leaving active duty, Yates started being a helicopter pilot with the Army National Guard, a role he fulfilled for 3 years until his arrest in April 2000. He earned several commendations and service medals throughout his total of 21.5. The murders that this case is about began in July 1975. Very little is known about the murder victims, which is like most cases in which the majority of victims are sex workers or live a high-risk lifestyle. On the 13th of July 1975, Susan Patricia Savage, 22, and Patrick Allen Oliver, 21, had gone out to have a Sunday swim and a picnic at Mill Creek, a local swimming hole 12 miles southeast of Walla Walla. They were both 2 months out of college. Patrick just returned to America after studying in France, and Susan had just graduated from Washington State University. 23-year-old Yates found the pair picnicking beneath a tree, and he shot them both in the head, leaving their bodies to be found the following day. On December 28, 1988, Stacy Elizabeth Hahn's partial skeletal remains were found near Big Lake in Skagit County, Washington. She was 23 years old and was last seen alive in Seattle on July 7th. In a plea deal to spare his life, Yates confessed to her murder and claimed he hired her while she was working as a sex worker while on military leave. He shot her once in the head before dumping her body. On June 14, 1996, Shannon Renee Zielinski, 38, was found shot once in the head in Meade, Spokane County, Washington. She was found in a wooded area near a school bus stop. Her body was partially nude, and her body was badly decomposed. She worked as a sex worker, and Yates hired her services before murdering her. On August 26, 1997, Jennifer Ann Joseph, 16, was found shot in the head in a field in Spokane. At the scene, a brown towel and a brown hair that was later found to belong to a white male. Jennifer had dropped out of high school and moved to Spokane from Tacoma after her parents divorced. She began using methamphetamine and worked as a sex worker to fund her lifestyle. Jennifer had been in Spokane for a month when Yates hired her and murdered her. On November 5, 1997, Darla Sue Scott's partially decayed remains were found in a shallow grave near a golf course in Spokane. She was 29 years old and had a long history of sex work and drugs. Darla was killed by a single gunshot to the head and is believed to have been murdered in September or October. On December 7, 1997, Melinda Lee Mercer, 24, was found shot and dumped in a field in Tacoma. Her head was inside 4 plastic bags, and she had been shot in the head several times. Yates revealed at trial that even after she shot, Melinda chewed through 2 of the grocery bags before succumbing to her injuries. It's unclear how Yates lured her into his car, as Melinda didn't have any ties to sex work as far as the public knows. On December 12, 1997, Shawn Lynette Johnson, 36, was found with 2 gunshot wounds to her head and 2 plastic bags covering her head. She was found about a mile away from where Darla Scott's remains were found. She had been missing since October 29th of the same year. On December 26, 1997, Shawn Ann McClenahan, 39, and Lori Paige Wason, 31, were both found in a gully in Spokane. They were both shot twice in the head, with 2 grocery bags covering their heads. Lori was last seen on November 3rd after falling back into a life of drug use after 6 years of sobriety. She worked as a sex worker to fund her substance abuse, but she also bred and trained Rottweilers and operated an adult family home AFH and was licensed by the state. An AFH is described as a licensed residential home licensed to care for non-related residents. Shawn had 1 son and was last seen on December 18th. She had been struggling with heroin abuse, but she had sent her sister a birthday card in early December, telling her that she had been accepted into a methadone program and was determined to leave behind drugs. She had gotten addicted after an arm injury got her addicted to painkillers. She used to work at a hospital laboratory but quit due to the injury. On February 8, 1998, Sunny Gale Oster's body was found shot to death with plastic bags covering her head in a rural area of Spokane. She was a mother of 2 who was last seen in October, the day after she completed a drug treatment program. On April 1, 1998, Linda Marie Mabin's 34 remains were found in Spokane, just 100 yards from the bodies of Shawn McClenahan and Lori Wason. She had 2 bags over her head and was shot once. Linda had been working as a sex worker and had been missing since November 22, 1997. During mid-May 1998, Melody Ann Murfin, 43, went missing, but her remains weren't found until 6 months after Yates was arrested in April 2000. Her remains were found buried underneath Yates and his wife's bedroom window after Yates led police to the area. Melody was identified by her family, who recognized her jewelry. On July 7, 1998, Michelin Joanne Durning, 47, was found shot once in the head in Spokane. The .25 caliber bullet casing was still in her hair, and she was found partially nude but was obscured by a hot tub cover. Michelin had been married and had a son, but an addiction to drugs cost her both her relationship and custody of her son. She moved to Spokane in 1997, working a variety of jobs to try and turn her life around. Michelin had renewed a friendship with a computer instructor she had met in San Diego. He helped her find an apartment, but the friendship ended when he moved away to Arizona. On August 1, 1998, Christine Smith filed a police report for assault and robbery after she was hit in the head during a sex act. She described her attacker as around 50 years old, 5'10", around 175 lbs, with sandy blonde hair. His vehicle was described as a 70s-era black van with an exterior yellow or orange stripe and a wooden paneling interior with bucket seats and a raised bed. Christine told the police that the man claimed to be a National Guard helicopter pilot with 5 children. Police discovered bullet fragments in Christine's hair. She was unaware that she had been shot. After Yates was arrested, his face was plastered in newspapers so much that Christine saw and instantly recognized her attacker. She contacted the police immediately, informing them that they had caught the man she reported years prior. Christine Smith is the only known survivor of Yates. The final victim of Yates was discovered on October 13, 1998. Connie Lynn Ellis LaFontaine was 24 when she was found in a ditch in Tacoma. She had been murdered by a single shot to the head with 3 plastic bags covering her face. She had previously worked as a hairdresser in Spokane, but fell into drugs and sex work after the deaths of 2 of her sons. One she lost due to sudden infant death syndrome, SIDS, and the other she lost when he was 11 and awaiting a heart transplant. Connie had a 3rd child, a little girl who survived her mother and was either raised by her grandparents or her father. Connie's father believes the deaths of her children contributed heavily to her struggles with heroin and said that Connie had tried a program, but it didn't work for her. Yates was on police radar in 1999. He had been caught speeding near a location where one victim was found 2 years prior, and then in November 1998, police pulled him over while he was in the presence of a sex worker. Their suspicions were elevated when they questioned him about the murders. According to detectives, Yates became nervous and refused to give a blood sample for DNA testing. On April 18, 2000, police arrested Robert Lee Yates under suspicions of the murder of Jennifer Joseph. A search warrant for his white 1977 Chevrolet Corvette, which he had sold shortly before his arrest, was executed. The search found Jennifer's blood and DNA from Yates that tied him to 12 victims. After Yates's arrest, police realized that he had been pulled over after a victim was last seen getting into a white 1977 Chevrolet Corvette. A simple misreading of a field report led to Yates not being arrested in connection with the case. Yates was charged with 13 counts of first-degree murder and 1 count of attempted first-degree murder in Spokane County Superior Court. It was during this trial that a plea bargain was made, and Yates confessed to the murders with the deal he didn't apply for the death penalty. Yates was sentenced to 408 years imprisonment. After the trial, Yates made a statement apologizing to the families of those he had murdered in cold blood. In 2001, Yates was charged with the murders of Melina Mercer and Connie Ellis. He was convicted and subsequently sentenced to death by lethal injection. Yates tried fighting the death penalty by claiming he believed his plea bargain was all-encompassing, and that a life sentence for 13 murders and death for 2 was disproportionate, freakish, wanton, and random. His arguments were rejected. In 2013, Yates's attorneys filed a habeas corpus petition in federal district court stating that Yates was mentally ill and through no fault of his own suffers from a severe paraphilic disorder that predisposed him to commit murder. Pierce County prosecutor Mark Lindquist rebutted these by saying, "I don't think Mr. Yates helps his cause by relying on the fact that he's a necrophiliac." 5 years later, after the Washington State Supreme Court ruled the death penalty was a violation of the state constitution, Yates's death sentence was commuted to life in prison without the possibility of parole. As of October 2023, Yates is still incarcerated at the Washington State Penitentiary.